right. So, in terms of housekeeping, I hope you guys had a good weekend. Anything fun? Anything adventurous you guys did for the weekend? Yes. You got your license.
Already?
It's like this joyous moment, and then nothing. I am so sorry. I'm assuming because A, you're here, you're okay from it. Maybe the deer is worse for wear. I don't know. And so now he's in a wheelchair? Or?
Yeah, we like barely it's fine.
And then the deer just came out. So the car is okay too. We think, all right. So I guess that is a, I don't know if it's a lesson learned, because oftentimes deer just, do what they do regardless of your safe driving patterns or not. Were you the stereotypical teenager, texting while driving, and then a deer pops out, or just deer popped out?
Well, I was on the phone with my friends, but I had my sister do it for me, so I wasn't
Yeah, all right. So that's good. That's good in that you weren't doing something horribly reckless, but hopefully a little bit of what's the right word to say there? A good scare, if that makes sense. Of like, okay, all right, I'm grateful it wasn't worse, and the car's okay, and Mr. Deer's okay, and I'm okay, and all that. Man, thanks. And hopefully your parents weren't being like, see, that's why we have to lock you in the basement.
Yeah, my dad was mad.
Right? Like confirming parents' worst fears. I'm so sorry. That's hopefully your license hasn't been taken away from your parents. Like, yoink, that they'll let you keep driving.
Yeah, I'm so good.
Okay, so then that's why there's a smile. Good. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Well, good. Anything else from the weekend? Eden sort of baited me. Was like, yeah, it's happy, and then horribly sad. Brexley, anything for the weekend? No? All right. Okay. Emerson, anything? Not really. Well, I know that's sort of the tone of 2020. I'm just trying to find, other than hitting a deer, anything interesting. Dexter, last but not least, I know you're holding out on me. What'd you do this weekend? So you literally went home at 3 p.m. on Friday and you just sat and watched paint dry for more than 48 hours.
Oh, I played frisbee Friday night, but that was it.
We will take that. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to get at in terms of people, like how active they are on the weekends, even with like 2020 COVID stuff. So as you went to play frisbee on the weekend, right, on Friday, and Eden's dad is now locked her in the house, she can't leave anymore. But are your parents like, okay, yeah, you can go fraternize with friends and stuff like that?
Yeah, I kind of think, kind of like to do it a lot.
Do you get what I'm saying? That I didn't know certain parents are like, nope, like, well, you go to school and you come back and that's it.
Well, yeah, I'm not allowed to just go wherever I want, but it was like frisbee, so I just moved.
Oh, okay. So in terms of social activities, your parents are still okay?
My mom's so okay.
All right. Okay. Just curious how it's going. So thank you for that housekeeping there. In terms of other housekeeping, as Brexley is seeing, okay, where are we at with points, right? So you guys have like 3 different, versions, if you will, of 15 rows of points above here, if that makes sense, that have been cleaned up so you can see where we're at. We have 2 days left. You guys have narrowed the gap, right? You guys have seen consistently. You guys have chunked away a little bit by little bit. Now, what Brexley did miss is we had a come to Jesus speech, if you will, was it Wednesday, Thursday, I can't remember, Tuesday, whatever. In that time, we talked about this class in general. And I mentioned the one student who's been more or less active is gone. Now that we have Brexley back, she's your star free agent that can help answer questions, and we're so glad. No pressure. Okay. Honestly, we mentioned how this class is studious and academic, but I think some individuals who are way sharp are also more passive in learning, right? In terms of jumping in and asking questions. You guys have broken that trend, and I really, really appreciate it. Okay, guys, right now, let's do a bet. Let's see, it's 9:05, right? over under. If Destin and Tanner get here before 9:10,
I got
Destin's
the
actually
under. I got the
14.
under.
then that gets pity points right there. Okay, all right. So that's one way to rig the betting there, is just to make me feel bad. Good job, Tanner. So Tanner, who's not quarantined, over under. If he gets here before 9:10, then you guys get 5 points.
Okay.
If he gets here after 9:10, then I get points.
How do you get one?
Yeah.
They go
You
both
get
ways.
1 negative.
I get. Wait, that turns into a point. I get mythical points too, because these are legitimate points. All right, so we're wagering 5 points.
Hey, where are you?
Connor's like,
Okay.
so Brexley, one common theme is they have been stumbling in like each day.
If he gets here in the next 60 seconds,
Okay.
we get 10 points.
Whoa! I'll give you maybe 6 or 7. I don't know if it's 6 or
Hey,
7.
I'm glad we took the under. He's right
Watching
there.
it.
He's walking up the stairs. And he still has like 3
Six.
What
minutes.
does he do? What's he do every day?
He has eights, and so he just.
If he has a pink slip, I'll give you 20 points.
I guarantee you he
Go back to
doesn't.
that.
There's not a chance.
I guarantee he does.
Remember we talked about it last time. Said, hey, next time you come in, gotta get those. Let's see. Is he talking with the girls? I mean, the front office ladies. What's going on?
I don't know. I called.
Where does he go every day?
I can
You know,
hear
like
him.
after the first hour.
We
Okay.
have to take a shower. We have weightlifting. So.
Oh,
it was caught.
ooh, way to make me feel even more guilty. Yeah, good job, Tanner. Okay, yeah. He's here. In time, we made a little over/under bet, and so yes, I will give you 6
If
points.
you had a pink slip, we would have got 20.
Perfect, that's good.
Gracie says that's fair. Okay, all right.
Back to get it.
1, 2.
Wait, if he goes back, he gets a
four,
pink slip, we
five,
still get the 20.
No, I prefer him to stay here at this time. So appreciate the offer, but next time try to get that slip. And Destin, he's gone. I don't know what to do. It's like 4:40 out from my home here. Destin's not with us. That sucks. Okay, so housekeeping wise, we do have the actual assignment, which is going to be due on Wednesday. You have your groups. Mind you, you guys are sitting in different areas and locales, but make sure you still follow through. I had some kids ask, what about College Pass? Still, if you're doing a College Pass, get those 2 facts to the person making the brochure, right? That's going to be crucial. Other than that coordination, there's no coordination for this assignment. You were just, doing you. You do your thing and turn in on Wednesday. Keep up the participation. We have Brexley back, so that's even better. We have the video from last week that still has yet to upload, and the video from today. So if anybody tonight is like, geez, I gotta get caught up with other video notes, and that should be helpful, right? Okay, so that's it for housekeeping. We left off last time, we were talking about Islam, I believe. So Giselle, for some points. What is one redeeming thing of Sharia? What's one good thing about Sharia? Like what, Sharia in general, like, hey, you're a woman, we're gonna kill you. Is there anything good about Sharia?
It's clean.
Right. So we mentioned discipline from last week, yeah, and that matriculates and turns into, Giselle, like, hey, it's recycling and sanitation. So it's very disciplined and orderly and clean. Spencer, is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yes, that is. Do you hear that little squeaking, that little chirping from the desk? That's why we have the head custodian Rex coming.
Table's name is now Rex.
So now it'll be Rex. Rex the table who tweets. Okay, so we have that for Islam. Under stats, I don't know if we got there. So okay, we did not get there. There are a total of 3 things we're going to write down here in stats. So Brexley, we're on the back of the first page, right? We got leaders in theory all down there on the back page. You have that. Okay, under stats, the 3 things you're going to write down. The first is most of the universities and schools were started, okay, for some points, where were they started? Most of the universities and schools were started in the, Carson. Southern or this, yes, very good. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Whether from deductively thinking or cheating off Sadie, I don't know. But good job in the answer that most of the universities and schools were started in the South. Worsening, the divide between the north and south, as Tanner updates us on his electronic notes.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay. So, most of them were started in the south, worsening the divide between the north and the south. Okay, so let me put this out there as an example. So I have 3 kids. My oldest is a son. He, let's just put it this way, he doesn't really care at all for calico critters. Oh yeah, lovely little toys that way. But my 8-year-old daughter, who just turned 9 today, this morning, literally before school, she had to open her first present, and she got her first calico critter play set. She's so excited. This is an amazing little weird creature thing, and awesome. It's fun and great. Again, does my son even care about calico critters? No. But guess what his reaction was in this lovely opening of the package? Any thoughts? Think of the sibling rivalry. Carson?
He was jealous.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let me just play with those little bunny things. Let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see the box. I'm going to see it. He couldn't care less, right, about some silly, frou-frou calico critter thing, but the fact that his younger sister got this wonderful playset has now made him, Carson, you're correct, Jones. He doesn't even want it. I could have honestly got him the same thing, like, here you go. He's like, whatever. But it's this principle of weird human nature of the green-eyed monster, right? That's not talking about our basketball team. Yes?
Why don't northern and southern Nigeria just split into 2 different countries?
Okay, that is a PhD level question. I love it. I love it. I love it. Why doesn't northern and southern Nigeria? Now, before we answer that question, which is pretty hefty, I want to make sure we understand why it is that the schools were in the south. So let's make sure we understand this. Why were these presents, if you will, these gifts, given to the south but not up north? And by whom were they given? Any thoughts? Thomas?
By the Christian influence.
Okay, where is this Christian influence coming from? You're right.
Like Europe.
Europe. Let's get more specific, Walker.
They were British colonies.
Yes, they were a colony Britain, very good. And so this Christian influence, yes, Thomas was there, but it comes specifically from England, right? They're there. And it's more of a simplicity thing, because Dexter, we're on the coast, we come over, like West Africa, we build stuff. It takes more effort to ship Emerson all those goods up north. Forget that. We're just going to do it down south, right? Like, I hope, Lindsay, that makes sense. It's down south, we're going to do it there. By doing that, though, they start playing a game of favorites, okay? And so that's going to make the divide worse. I mean, because Alan, let's think about it. Who in their right mind would pit 2 groups against one another who are really nice, but then start out hating each other? I mean, who would ever do that? That's an evil, dictatorial. Oh. Yeah, sorry. Hopefully, by the time you graduate, Rex isn't like yelling at 3rd hour. People are like, I hate you still. I hope not. But there is this divide that Thomas down south, they build the schools. And up north, they don't get them. Now, why is it that the north wouldn't even want the schools? Let's put it that way. I mean, let's call a spade here. They're like maybe getting upset, like, well, the south's gotten all these schools and we're upset, and how dare you? And we talk like this in northern Nigeria. Why, what's the right way to say this? Why, if they were given this calico critter analogy, why would they not even use it? Why would they not even care about this up north in Nigeria? Carson?
Isn't it because they want their leaders to have all the power and they don't want their people to think critically?
Okay, I like the way you said that in general, leaders might be corrupt and they don't want to like teach them, but is that unique to the north? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's in general in Nigeria, right? That's a good thought. But why is, yeah, Gracie?
It's because of Sharia?
Yeah, that's exactly. It's because of Sharia. So the problem with it, very good, is, again, this gift that England is giving him. The North gets all like upset, saying, how dare you only give to the South? But England could have easily been like, well, if we gave it to you, you just burn it down anyway, because you don't want girls going to school, right? And also, you want them to be madrasas, or schools associated with mosques, not actual independent learning institutions. Does that make sense? So it's sort of ironic that they get upset over it. But if you're travel agent number 1 about the effects of colonialism, travel agents number 1, raise your hand. All right, so Tucker is literally the. I got more problems than I thought. He is the only travel agent number 1 for the whole class. But yes, you were right. in the sense that you should be raising your hand, but also paying attention because this is an example of colonialism's effects, right? That says, hey, even though they built that and have been gone since the 60s, there's this divide that's still there between the North and the South because they got something and we didn't. Now, if I were to give my son nothing on his birthday, then that would like worsen the divide, right? Like the sibling rivalries would be there. But that's the analogy. I hope that makes sense. They're upset over a gift that they wouldn't even want, but it's still there. Now, going back, Thomas, to your point. So I hope that makes sense of like why it worsens the divide. Is that how? Okay. That's the right way to say this. You say, why don't they split and divide? That's a really fair question. There are a lot of advocates saying they should. Think about if you guys have ever heard of like Darfur, and I know Tanner's checking on this. All right, my low-key roasts are not working on him, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, I cut out one.
Can you scan out your notes?
Sorry.
Sorry, I just think it's funny. It's like I'll just fold my arms and that's the answer. No, I want you to take notes. So the idea is Darfur. It was an area in South Sudan that was under genocide in East Africa, so close to Somalia and Ethiopia and stuff, okay? And this area was having a genocide. Millions were being killed in death marches in the early aughts, or middle aughts, like 2005, 2006, that type. So as this was going on, the UN says, we just got to divide this country. We have Sudan and South Sudan. South Sudan is the newest country in the world today. Yay! It's a horrible one, but they split it so that they wouldn't kill each other, okay? So the question is, why doesn't the UN do this for Nigeria? It's a very valid question. Some would say it needs to happen. The Biafra Civil War, hint, travel agent number 2, you guys are right about that. That they were fighting, right, about that. The Igbo wanted to leave, absolutely. Catholic Christians like, we out. They're down south. Why did the North? If the North hates the South so much, why did the North fight so vehemently to keep the South with them? The same Abraham Lincoln, ladies and gentlemen, in 1967, why did the North say, we're going to force you guys to stay? See?
Is that what I call the oil?
There. That's it. I mean, I don't want to oversimplify why they haven't divided, right? Because they could divide. They could divide, and maybe it'd be better if they divided east and west or whatever. But the reality is all of the money is down south. That's where it is. Up north, it has more population, but they have no real access to those. So if they divide like, yay, we're peaceful, but North Nigeria is going to die, right? They need that money, even though they don't get it because the leaders are corrupt. But yeah, that's great. Sadie, very good job. Down south is where the oil is. So they want the southern part, right? Absolutely. And that's why we think they haven't fought to have, I don't want to give like weird spousal abuse type analogies, but we're going to go there in a way. Okay, there's a case I was involved with, and it was dealing with property rights, okay? So my spiel was property and not on divorce law. But the interesting thing was the wife in there who had not a prenup, therefore she would inherit some of it. She wanted to have access to all the money in the land that was in this marriage, right? He was a complete jerk in this marriage and had another lawsuit going through there and potentially spousal abuse and verbal abuse and physical abuse. She was suing to stay married. Again, suing to stay married in an abusive relationship. Why in the world would this woman ever want to sue to make sure that they stayed married? She's getting hit. Why would she submit herself to this? Going back to what Sadie said. Money, Connor?
Yeah, she needs the money or something.
She's the money. All that access to money, resources, land, right? If she leaves that, so it's this weird abusive relationship that probably should end, but they just can't figure out a way how to divide resources. It's like North Nigeria is like, yeah, let's go away if we could still have money from the South, right? Like, so I don't think the country will divide, not just because it didn't work in the Civil War, I just don't think it will, because money just goes down to money, which is sad. You know, you shouldn't submit yourself to an abusive relationship. And North Nigeria's like, we're doing it because we want money. That's how it is. Thomas.
This is sort of related to that, but
Yeah.
recently in America, there's been kind of like this divide between people.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
what if America was to do the same thing, where we split
Right.
into two different countries?
Right. I mean, I think what you'll see is if anybody here live in the UK or have ever spent time in the UK or have family members in the UK, I'm just curious. Okay, so Tanner, you have family members who live there?
I've not anymore living here.
You know, it's interesting, like when you talk with them, you know, I don't know if you meet with them in the holidays or whatever, like just talk with them about how are politics there, right? They have three main parties. The three angle of it makes them not as like deeply divided. Does that make sense? Like there's an idea of cooperation a little bit more. So you're right to think the US has a very stymied, entrenched vision of we hate you. Right now, Pew Research Center says we've never been more divided in our nation's history in terms of political affiliations than one, except for one other time in our country's history, which was Civil War. So media has also like driven that a lot, right? Because we're in much more of a media age. I would think, Avery, you guys, right? Social media, et cetera, you guys paid more attention to that probably than it was even 50 years ago. It's just more of it's a reality you guys have to deal with. That probably drives the divisions even more, I think. So you're asking, like, what if that were to happen again for us, like a civil war in that way? Is that sort of what you're alluding to? Just like for Nigeria, I would say civil war probably won't happen because the main reason is, did it work before? No, I mean, right? I mean, I don't want to spoil your 11th grade year when you talk about U.S. history, but spoiler alert, Civil War did not work for the South. Likewise for Nigeria, did that Civil War work for the Igbo? Nah, it's still, they wanted to create their own Biafran, they wanted to call the country Biafra, right? And they were like forced after losing to stay with everybody. And the North sued to keep them there. So I don't think it would work for Nigeria. I don't think it would work for US for the same reason as we tried it before and it didn't work. Enough people wanted to force it to stay together that it still overran any of the problems. Does that make sense? So that's why I think you probably wouldn't see like a United States of the coasts, right? And everybody in the middle. Does that make, because that's sort of what our country is devolving into in a way, right? Like uber liberal Democrat, hyper conservative middle. Right? There's oversimplifying it, but that's why I don't think it'd work, because historically it just didn't work. If a civil war had worked before, yeah, you could see something like that happening again, secession, but it didn't. Does that make sense? That's sort of why I think that. It's almost in the way of like when a family goes through one divorce, are they more likely to go through more? Yes, statistically speaking, they are. They've breached that boundary, if you will. Does that help answer your question? But you're right to think, wow, we're like divided right now. You know, we are, absolutely. Good. Okay, so that's helpful for there. The second thing I'm gonna write down here is 1 out of every 11 HIV/AIDS victims, so 1 out of every 11 HIV/AIDS victims lives in, so this is the second thing Eden under stats, 1 out of every 11 HIV/AIDS victims, I'm talking worldwide here, lives in Nigeria. Yes, 1 out of every 11 HIV/AIDS victims lives in Nigeria. Now, Alan, I can see you're like, well, this is 10% or so. Like, it's not a big deal. I get what you're saying. But when you're looking at 200 million people in terms of population, big country, but Tyler, compared to the world population, a drop in the bucket. It's a disproportionate number. Do you get what I'm saying there? That if you were to say, like, everybody in all of Green Canyon were to have COVID, but they were, well, let's put it this way. Very few people get COVID in the whole school, but let's say that Gordon Geddes, everybody who has gotten COVID comes from his class. I'm just saying hypothetically. I don't remember to start like, COVID lives in Geddes' class. But Carson, you get what I'm saying here, that there's a disproportionate number, like what's going on in that classroom? Are they like licking each other's faces? What's going on here? What is making it where that's happening so much? So the question then likewise is for Nigeria, what is making them have such high HIV/AIDS rates? Does anybody know? Any thoughts? The book talks about this. Any, or even guesses, even without the book. Gracie.
There's just like how something with like the overpopulation of the country.
Okay, so one is gonna do, there's two issues here that make their numbers so bad, right? I'll get the one awkward issue out of the way. Contraceptive use, okay? They don't, maybe Connor's going that way, but in terms of like sex ed, all that stuff, like the UN has a big problem. In fact, you mentioned UNICEF. The reason UNICEF, which is the UN humanitarian arm, is there is because in Nigeria they don't use contraception, which is the fancy way of saying birth control, condoms, diaphragms, all that stuff. Some way to help prevent any spread of STDs, right? They don't use any of that. And so literally there's billboards all in Lagos and Baga of like creepy, nasty things, but they're trying to help people understand like sex ed. Like that's one reason why they struggle with it, okay? But the other reason is what Grace is talking about is, okay, dense population. You have an incredibly densely populated country. So the question then becomes, Tyler, you don't get HIV and AIDS from just like standing by one another, right? But what is another way? Not just STDs. Okay, we got that out of the way. Health class is over. What's the up, Tessa? Oh, okay, so they do have an issue. I think I even showed you that SARS video of like them, you know, I'm not a prostitute, you know, that type of thing. They do have a problem with that. That could go with dense population. I guess I'm grouping that into the whole like STDs thing over here. There's another area that isn't involving STDs, but there's another way that HIV and AIDS can be commonly transmitted. Carson?
Is it by blood?
Ah, there we go. There we go. So again, Gracie, we're all standing next to each other, densely populated. We're not spewing blood on one another. So we have dense population. That's a recipe for a rough part. Poor healthcare. We again take for granted that I need to get a blood transfusion, and I'm going to get it done by, you know, get this clean, hygienic needles. In Nigeria, that's not the case. Literally, their doctors are guys who walk around with like bowling bags filled with used needles. So like, it looks like you need a transfusion of one fluid or another. Let me just go through here. Septic, tetanus. Here it is, AIDS. And like they basically transfer it. You get what I'm saying here? That their healthcare is so poor that their transmission of AIDS and their dense population is such that they just spread it through just horrible healthcare practices, right? So again, Sadie, if the country were to better distribute the money from oil, maybe their infrastructure wouldn't be that bad, and they'd have actual people who could like get blood transfusions without getting AIDS. Does that make sense? So both poor sex ed stuff, but also dense population and horrible healthcare. Grace, does that sort of make sense a little bit more as to why the dense population plays into it? They're all there, but they're getting and sharing needles, basically. And not like druggies, you know, like legitimate people trying to get healthy and then they get it. So that's really bad. It has gotten better, but it's still one of the worst. We'll get to where Nigeria in the north is also even more skeptical of, think about this, let's say a doctor, Selena, and you're up north, and they're like, hey, we have an actual legitimate, this is gonna be so bad with the COVID vaccine. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. We'll get to why this is really bad up north too, but let's say they're trying to spread that vaccine around, right? COVID, let's stop the spread. They finally get it, and it's clean needles. Whoa, this is great. UNICEF is there maybe, and they've got a clean needle, and they're great. Many people up north will still say, no. Why? Why would they still refuse such service? And we'll get to it tomorrow, but any thoughts on that? Tom?
They don't believe in modern medicine.
There it is. It's from the West. There's some inherent evilness to it, right? So absolutely, they don't trust it. I mean, I can't even imagine, man. Oh, COVID and, oh, it's bad. In fact, one of the world's most dangerous diseases it's been eradicated everywhere else in the world except northern Nigeria. We'll get to what that is tomorrow. Okay, so we had that HIV and AIDS is bad. Let's do our third thing here, and then we'll take a break. Third thing. There is a bad literacy gap between there is a bad literacy gap between whom in Nigeria? Okay, so there is one between north and south, but it's even more dire. Walker?
Men and
There it is. Very good. Very good. Between men and women. Awesome, Walker. Very good. So there's a bad literacy gap between men and women. Now, the reason it's so bad between men and women is tied to the north thing, right? But anybody know numbers here for literacy? And let's be clear. What does it mean to be literate? Let's clear that up. Carson? Right, and I know, I'm assuming a lot of you know that, but I just want to be clear. Yeah, being able to read and write. So let's put it in comparison. Developed countries. So, Tanner, we're talking Germany, UK, France, Japan, Australia, US. These countries have literacy rates of what? You guys know roundabout what our literacy rate is? And by all means, you can look it up too. That's fine.
90%.
I like to guess, they're even higher than 90%.
96%.
We are at like 99.8% depending on the year, right? We're really high, 99%. Developed countries, 98%. That's really good, really good. Nigeria, which is again the most populated and the most wealthy country of all of Africa,
70%.
69%. 69%. All right, I'll give you some quick. It's bad. It's bad. That's their average. But there's a disparity that's really unique in the whole world. Okay, so in parentheses, let's put down what the literacy rate is for men. You may know any guesses. What do you think? So the average total is 70%. What was that?
80-something.
Close here. Let's put 76%. Okay, the number goes up and down. 76% for men. So bad literacy gap between men and women. Men, 76%. Women, what do you think their rate is?
30 something.
Okay. I'm glad it's not that low. Ooh, now we're gonna go with 60. 60%. Okay. 60%. So 76 to 60%. Now, Tuck, I mean, you're looking at this and you're thinking, that's not that bad. It's like a 15, 16% disparity. That's really bad numerically, right? With the U.S. is at 99.8. Like, the fact that it's lower is bad. But when you see in a group half the population that disparate, really rough. Couple points here. Why is that disparity there? Why is it so bad? Sharia. I feel like if you were ever to take the AP test of this, I feel like all the free response would be like Sharia. Sharia. Because Sharia. Why does China hate people? Sharia. No, that's not. I mean, like it feels that way. Yes, it's Sharia. So up north, women may be going to grade school, right? Maybe, but it's only for religious scripture. That's something they've gotten better at. That's where like their 60% is, if you will. But beyond that, they don't get a lot of training up north. They don't expect to do that. Iran's numbers are higher because they still are weird. They still have gone in their back history and said, hey, democracy's sort of good. Women can go to school. Cool. But not in northern Nigeria. Sharia hurts those numbers bad. Down south, it's pretty equal, right? But up north, fewer schools, but also the women don't go to school like at all. So the women's numbers are atrocious. Now, Gracie, you were saying 30% from before. If you were just to look at the numbers up north, you wouldn't be too far off. You're looking at 35, 40% literacy rate for women, right? So that's really bad. Those numbers are atrocious. Any questions on that? Okay, let's take a short break. Let's get it moving around. And everybody can use your phones. Oh, Tanner's already on. That's okay. He's ahead of the curve. Tanner, I'm just slow roasting you here, but nothing's working.
No, I turned it off and then I was checking my mom.
Oh,
Not even check out.
okay. Fair enough. Now, I do have a chance. I think Tucker stepped up last time to help me get a new refill for my marker. I need to get a new whiteboard eraser. Is anybody willing for 5 points to go down to the copy center? And let's go. I'll give Dexter the opportunity. Okay? I'll give Dexter the opportunity. So, quick draw McGraw there. Okay, so you can take Tanner if you want to. It's not
Okay, I'll take that.
as your bodyguard. All right. Just a whiteboard eraser. So I found a cheap one. If she's like, if she has whatever it is, this one or the cloth one, any of the above is fine. Come back though, Tanner. I sincerely hope you come back. Alrighty, let me pull up. Yeah.
For the travel agency brochure, because Avery's like the only person in my group, do I just have to have those two?
You got it. Yep.
That's it?
Yep. Great follow up. Yep. You're just now in terms of the brochure, you do have the challenge then of visually, right, including either some more pictures or charts, graphs, whatever, right? You can put some of your own writing in there too, but yes, I'm only looking for the 2 facts from yours.
Okay, so do we have to have like? So I made a blanket for ours, and so do I have to put the things on, like the facts on the blanket, or can I like staple it to the side or something? Because it's kind of hard to write on.
Yeah, no, I hear you, because your options are limited. You can have like certain fabric-friendly things that then like will fade off.
Yeah.
And those are some options. You could temporarily even have, I don't want to say Velcro because then you don't want the thing to have ghetto, but you could have Velcro on there for facts. You could have, you can have it separate, not on it. But I do want it, I would prefer it to be attached somehow and stapling it or I don't, pinning it.
Yeah, I could like sew a paper on it.
I mean,
how that would work.
well,
Yeah, I could like staple it to the side.
I think that's probably your best option. And again, I'm trying to interpret what you're turning in here. That's probably from what you're saying the best option is, you know, putting on the sides. Yeah, let's do that. That'd be my suggestion.
Do you need to cite your sources?
Yeah, so great question, Avery. If you guys are using other sources, which you probably are, the textbook or whatever, cite them. I don't need MLA format, even if it's just in parentheses, or according to this website, boom, 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 or in parentheses, Jones 2019. Like, just don't plagiarize. Like, even if it's a footnote, works cited, or just in parentheses.
Well, like, what if you just used, like, you didn't write anything down exactly, like, you just found more information?
Yeah. So even if it's not direct quotes, but like you're directly coming from a piece of material that you paraphrased, right? I still want you to I still want you to do that. That's a good question.
The travel agent 3 are those like real like facts, just making sure before I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good facts. Yeah, and just elaborate on them right for your paper. But yes, those are accurate facts to give a comment.
Are these in the book too? Because I found these out in like a website.
Yeah, those are in the book too. Just get detailed specifics, whether you're using on the website or whatever. Like explain more about what was happening with the kidnapping and violence, and explain the corruption with the oil.
So just elaborate on these for my
Yep,
paper.
you got it. Yep.
Okay, who voted yes for reasons? That's disgusting. Listen, my friend is
Okay. This guy works. So assuming this clip works, I'm sensitive to, as we talk about corruption in Nigeria, a lot of kids will say, like, oh, it's like the U.S. with corruption, and even apps on iPad and stuff are super like skeevy, and yes, they are. But the level of corruption you'll see within Nigeria, just remember, it's well beyond that. but it's still pretty funny. So here is. Okay. All right. So this week we don't have an assembly, but it is like it's the Pack Pantry Drive. Is this like the Christmas drive? Is that correct? Or is anybody not?
Please speak again.
Speak again. This is the Pack Pantry week, I guess. This is like the Christmas drive from all the different decorations and stuff put up, right? Sure. Sure. All right. Nobody's in the info. Okay.
But a new era of games has arrived that are good for kids.
Our most popular game is called Tap Fish. It's a virtual aquarium. And you have to go in and feed your little virtual fish with virtual fish food.
And game makers have added a valuable twist that parents love.
Traditionally, you had to go to the store and buy a $60 cartridge in order to play. In this new model, you can play games for free.
Wow, free! Which explains why Tap Fish has been downloaded 20 million times.
Games like
Thank
Tap
you.
Fish are valuable because they have to go
Thank
in
you,
and
guys.
take care of the fish. If they don't, the fish will die.
And then once they die, that's it.
With a virtual fish
That's
tank,
worth
you can
6
revive.
points, not 5.
But it
We had
costs
to
money.
wait, she wasn't in there.
So that's a good lesson.
Okay.
if you
Okay.
kill something, you can throw money at it to bring it back to life.
Well, that's how the game works.
Act if you want to subtract a point.
Oh, so it turns out these games are free until you don't want them to suck. At which point, kids can simply push this button and instantly charge $100 worth of better fish to an iTunes account. And nobody had a better aquarium than the Bertrand kids of Montpelier.
I sincerely hope this does not happen for any of you guys.
Dude, it happened to my freaking
No.
stepdad.
Really?
My
Like you
dad-
got charged onto.
No, like my little sister,
Uh-huh.
she like, oh, it says Fortnite, and she's bought like $500.
Like and Apple and their store like and Android to an extent have said they try to get better on protective things, but like still, it happens. Oh man, I shouldn't laugh at that. That's bad. That's bad. Thomas.
Just the other day, my little brother spent like $70 on Minecraft stuff.
Okay, this is a little corrupt, but not as bad as Nigeria. That's still way bad, man. 70.
Vermont.
I wasn't paying attention to that quite a freak game like this. And the next thing you know, I found out that they had spent over $1,500 selling a bunch of crap little digital fishes.
You spent over $1,000 playing Tap Fish.
That was all he had. Actually, I might have gone over his credit card bill.
So you maxed out the credit card.
Is that what happened? Yeah.
Even though an intervention has been staged for these kids, Tap Fish is still pulling in $1 million a month. You provide a product. The first one is free. And then as they get more accustomed to your product, the price rises.
Yeah.
So you're a drug dealer.
No, we're not. I mean, we've had many parents email us, tell us that this game is teaching their kids responsibility.
We actually spoke to a parent whose kid loved your game. Would you be willing to talk to him on the phone?
Would I be willing to talk to them on the phone?
Talk to him on the phone right now.
I'd rather handle these things by email.
Right, but if this parent just wants to like talk to you, hold on, I'm gonna put you. Michael? Hi, okay, so you're on with Rizwan Verk, the CEO of Tap Fish.
You people should be ashamed of yourself. I don't want to think it's outrageous.
And over the course of the next 20 minutes, they never did exchange emails.
Do these games target kids? I wouldn't say we necessarily target kids. You can still play our games for free. That's the important part.
Take advantage of the, and
Kids are smarter than we are.
Are they?
Children's brains are not yet fully developed. The prefrontal cortex of the brain controls impulses. It doesn't fully develop until we are in our late 20s. They're very drawn to anything that moves, anything that's colorful. If you threaten death of animals, for instance, kids are going to be emotionally invested in that and not want it to happen.
Are there any other mental deficiencies in children that we can profit from?
I mean, they are learning responsibility. If you don't take care of things, they get dirty, messy, the tanks, or the fish die.
And because kids have an underdeveloped frontal cortex, they want to keep learning how to take care of fish, right?
And kids do like to learn. That's true.
They sure do.
If there was a game called Max Out Your Dad's Credit Card, we would have won.
And thanks to my cousin in Bangalore, now there's an app for that. You're maxed out!
Alright, so thankfully, not as to the level of corruption of Nigeria. I'm so sorry. You see your sister, $70? Brother, and then your sister, right? Oh, jeez. $500. But at least they didn't max out Dad's credit card. I guess that's the one takeaway for it. Okay, now in this last section here on Nigeria, let's do this. Man, wow, what a difference here. Thank you. And 6 points, I suppose that is legitimate. We will do that. So on your second sheet, you got your first sheet finished, right? I'm seeing Dexter with the second sheet there. You guys have the for current events, right? Okay, sweet. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because you had to wait, and we were throwing around a large paper towel roll back there. What was? Tanner discovered a wrapping paper.
Yeah, wrapping paper roll. I don't know where that.
And he's now harpooned Maddie in the side with it, right?
Yeah.
Gracie has apprehended it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being the adult in the room and making sure those little kids in the back couldn't mess with it. Don't, Connor.
For 2 points.
50 points.
I love the behavior like we'll act like little children, but then if he wants to be responsible, we'll basically blackmail them. So that so you guys are like totally vocal and rambunctious and all that, but you're gonna be really quiet until I give you more. I got the game. Okay, I see what you're doing. I love that statement of like, act like an adult. Put your phone in that cubby. No, how do I say this? You will see me first participate in an Ironman. There's a triathlon, right? Ironman triathlon. Before I require any student ever to put their phone in a cubby. It's
Tanner's attention.
That's a good teacher.
I will sacrifice Tanner's education. That doesn't sound right either.
I'll do the Ironman with you.
Yeah, there it is. And then afterwards, we'll get that cubby arranged. Props to those who do it. But no, I don't know, this cubbies just break my brain. I feel like that's so petulant and patronizing for you guys. Like Gerald phones and cubbies. As I say that with a cheese ball bucket of death here at the front of the room, which is not childish.
Wait, what's that for?
This is to scare you that, because you know how I use it every day in class for people who have their phones out when like we're trying to get through lecture. I will force them to put their phone in here and they can get at the end of a period.
Fill up with cheese balls.
And
Real question.
Tucker's like, Green Cane, I've used it once since it's been open. Once.
How long have you been teaching here?
Well, I mean, since the school's open, so this is the 4th year, so one time. But Tanner, be intimidated by the fact that you could be number 2. But that's what it is, and I really hate to use it, but it's my token thing of like, see, phone
Hey, I'll be
calls.
number 2.
No, I don't. I don't have to be worn as a badge of pride. I ticked him off so bad.
I'll be number 3.
No, I don't want to do that. But that's what it's intended for. And maybe, Tucker, if I gave actual cheese balls in here, then that would incentivize you not being on your phone? Is that? They threw them out at you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Will you like leave cheese over there in class so like a cheese balls or something like orange?
Oh, yeah.
You have to eat the whole thing.
It's like perma orange now. It's like Trumpified. Like, alright. Alright, so here we go. Yes, Dave. I think I've got some more, yes. So this is your second sheet, right? Not the leaders, but the current events. Now, this is basically everything that's happened. I mean, we've covered some of the history of Nigeria, really the last 100 years or so of West Africa. This section on current events covers the things that have happened really since the textbook was published, right? So 2013 or so. That's what we're looking at here. These are the things that matter for you. There are 4 total things we're going to write down in this section. And the first one is Ken, what's his first name? Ken Saro-Wiwa. Yeah, I will. Let's see. Whoa, look at that eraser, gentlemen. Wow. The little things in life. Alright, so Ken, and his last name is Saro-Wiwa. And it's sounds like a little kid like Wawa. Yeah, it's Weewa. All right, yeah, it does. Sadie, it does sound like some chant. Ken Saro-Wiwa. All right, can't say it now without saying it that way. Ken Saro-Wiwa. Really sad we're being this jokey about his name because the guy's had a very sad end of his life. Ken Saro-Wiwa was a rights activist. He was a rights activist. What? Yes, there it is. Yep, you got it. Good connection. Was a rights activist and environmentalist. Was a rights activist and an environmentalist. Ken Saro-Wiwa was a rights activist and environmentalist. So, for 10 points, this is from the textbook. For 10 points, does anybody know what group he founded? So, he was an MLK Jr. type figure, right? Cesar Chavez type figure who fought for different groups, okay? He fought for a group within Nigeria. He started an interest group, a group that like defended them, if you will. For 10 points, does anybody know what group it was? We're gonna go Gracie first. Mossab, yes, yes. That's so good, whether through phone or text or whatever. Okay, so you wanna write down, he was a rights activist, environmentalist, keep writing down in the first part, that he started Mossab, M-O-S-O-P. He started Mossab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He started Mossab. M as in mama, O-S-O-P as in Paul. It's an acronym, right? So just like NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which is ironically a weird sounding term that actually defends for African Americans, even though the actual title, you know what I'm saying? It's like, anyway. This group, Mossab, he started. And you want to keep writing here that this was a prominent interest group This was a prominent interest group. This was a prominent interest group that defended the natives. I'm going to keep it real simple. Defended the natives. Nolan, do you understand when I say like natives? So, the native people of southern Nigeria. This sounds good. Starts it up, he's an MLK Jr. People like MLK never have any horrible ends to their life.
Except for...
Never, yeah, right. So, just like those advocates, he too is, you'll see tomorrow, executed by the government. But at least in this case, it was by the government, not by like a weird assassin. So, yeah, pretty bad. Ken Saro-Wiwa. We will see that. Thank you, Dexter. And get it as soon as you can. Okay.
It's in my backpack. I just keep forgetting to take it out.
Just keep me in the loop, and I don't like labor, but Dexter, you were gone. Wait, we're trying to be lenient. Trying to be lenient. Who's? Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. So email that he's quarantined, but I'm sure he is. So how many other people are in your group then? So if he's gone. Okay. So you have one of two things. You can do one where you don't have any facts in it, right? And just more visual. Or you can just come up with some of your own, really any two facts, even from the notes, just to have some text on the actual brochure, right? I was suggesting the latter, but don't wait for him then, you can just sort of do your own ones. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, just, but you can also just have it all visual, and that's fine too. Thank you, Maddie, for letting me know.
Fix the thing again?
Yeah, but I told the head custodian, I even have the lovely sheet here, but obviously they're busy. They just haven't gotten around to it, Jay. I do have. I told they just haven't got. Just in there on the stacks there. I'm assuming you either got another copy.
Yeah. Looks exactly like
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Becky. Well, the assignments on Wednesday. Good to see you back. The assignments on Wednesday. The test is. I've been checking with my classes, and when everybody gets here, let's ask you guys. Remember, it's between the 18th and the 22nd, right? So we'll sort of see what you're. I don't want to tell you what the other classes have said. I want to see what you guys say. Okay? But yes, it's either the 18th, that last day that we're in school, or so next Friday. Yeah.
Wait, are we in school?
Not Monday, Tuesday, right? We're not. It'd be online. If you guys do it on Tuesday, the 22nd, it'd be online.